Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 26th September 2017. The first article, Prime Minister launches Saubhagya Plan for Household Electrification. So what is this plan is for? It is to electrify every household who do not possess an electricity connection today. So in India, it is estimated that around 4 crore people, they do not have access to clean energy. So an outlay of 16,000 crore rupees is earmarked for Saubhagya Plan to provide access to electricity. And economic panel to be revived. So Prime Minister's Advisory Council, Economic Advisory Council is to be reconstituted, and Mr. Bibek Debroy is expected to be the chairman of this Advisory Council. Diary of a very long year. So this is about surgical strikes. Let us do the post-mortem of the surgical strikes as it is 1 year of completion. Surgical strikes, these have made clear that LOC is no more unbreachable. They also have exposed the nuclear bluff of Pakistan and what are the limitations to use the nuclear power by Pakistan. And second aspect is, India, though has got the tactical advantage of the surgical strikes, it failed to convert that into a strategic element. Today, the ceasefire violations, the terror attacks on the Indian soil have remarkably increased. So it means the number of people losing their life across the border have increased in India. So it means the Pakistan did not change its attitude completely. Now, the threshold between a ceasefire violation and converting into a conventional war is very less. It means both the sides are willing to take risk, and hyper-nationalism is existing on both the sides to play to the domestic audiences. So, in the long run, if we see, the surgical strikes are a tactical victory, but to what extent they have added to the regional stability and India's might as a regional big player is not very clear. That is what this article is trying to convey us. Waiting for a signal. Now, if you take the Railway Board and Rail Ministry, Railways is a departmental undertaking, and every rail minister clearly says that his priorities is to improve the safety. If the safety has to be improved, we have to ensure the rolling stock is replaced once it gets aged, and also the rails etc. these have to be serviced from time to time. Today there is a competition to provide for timely services to improve the customer satisfaction. So in this context, the maintenance of rail lines is being neglected. Finally, it is leading or it is inviting a disaster. So, irrespective of whatever is happening, the railways has to prioritize the safety first principle. So then only we can improve the passenger safety, and also to an extent, whatever the cost the railways is incurring on transferring the passengers from one place to the other place need to be charged on to them. That's what this article talks about. Coming to Merkel's world, you know that Angela Merkel, she has won for the 4th consecutive term as Chancellor of Germany. She is the longest serving Chancellor, and she has many responsibilities on her shoulder. Today, if we observe in Germany, an right-wing party AfD, it is gaining its influence. So Christian Democratic Union, our social party, our socialistic party, they are slowly losing their vote base. So these two parties, they have believed in compromise and commitment. But however, the present day youth or the present generation of Germany, they want a consistent stand from the established political parties. As this is missing, they are looking for alternatives, and it is not only the case of Germany, it is the case of the entire Europe. And second aspect of it, United States was considered as the leader of the free world after Second World War. When Trump has come to power, when he said America first, obviously US wanted to move back from its role, and he also ridiculed NATO. So now, the world is looking for Angela Merkel to be the leader of the post-world liberal order. That's what this article says. Worrying downgrade. So this is about a leopard, snow leopard. The snow leopard, it is an endangered species to vulnerable species. It has been downgraded in a list that is called IUCN Red List. This IUCN Red List, if an animal or a species is mentioned in that, it gets greater attention. Snow leopard, it lives in the high altitudes. Due to climate change and other reasons, its habitat is shrinking. So, the number of animals are decreasing, and India also has launched a project called Project Snow Leopard. And all this attention is due to place of snow leopard in the IUCN list. So, removing this from the list or downgrading the snow leopard may not or may compromise its conservation efforts. That is the concern expressed over here. And coming to solving food challenges with more research. Now, this article is beautifully written and has some important points. Now, agriculture, nutrition and health, these are interconnected with each other. The Sustainable Development Goal number 2, it clearly states ending the world hunger is the objective. How we have to do that? The first one is the food diversification. So now we have millets, pulses, etc. We can divert the production of the food from rice, wheat towards these alternate crops. And then the nutritional imbalance is another problem for India. For this biofortification. So biofortification means adding some nutrient to the largely consumed food. Let's take iodine is added to the salt. That is an example for biofortification. And third aspect is now the agriculture also has to shift towards the urban areas. Urban, peri-urban and rural areas, these shall be the centers for production. So roof gardens or home kitchen gardens, these can add a lot to the food security. So these are the things this article talks about. And there is one important point. Empowering of women is an important measure to improve the nutrition in the family. So women's major concern is improving the nutritional levels of the family. So that's why women's role shall not be neglected. So these are the issues which this article is talking about. Why was Shantanu Bhaumik killed? So Shantanu Bhaumik is a journalist from Tripura, and this article is more political by Brunda Karath. It tried to explain that there is a cleavage, social cleavage is being nurtured between the tribals and non-tribals in Tripura. As it is being exposed, Mr. Shantanu Bhaumik was killed. But more than that, we are not supposed to read over it. But remember, there is something called India's World Press Freedom Index. India is placed at 133rd position out of 136 countries in this World Press Freedom Index. This year, a question is expected to come on the media in examination. Now, Rahul slams Gujarat growth model. So, we are not worried about Rahul Gandhi, but we want to know what is Gujarat growth model. The Gujarat growth model is more a top-to-bottom approach of development, or it's a trickle-down effect. Maximization of production, ensuring the economy of skills will create the wealth and prosperity in general within the society. So that's the reason why. So we have got the big industrialists growing in Gujarat and small traders, small business people, these are losing slowly their particular space in the society, in the industrial world. So that's what is been criticized over here. And then let's get into the next page. No compromise on corruption, says the Prime Minister. So governance is first. And corruption-free governance is first. That's what is the Prime Minister has reiterated from time to time. And he states the same. And Jim Mattis likely to push for Indian troops in Afghanistan. So yesterday we saw an article. In Afghanistan, India is trying to take up the training of the police forces which are necessary to maintain its stability. And India is also willing to provide for the service to the Soviet era equipment, Mi-25 helicopters, etc., which it has supplied for. And also it has taken up certain small developmental projects and it enjoys the goodwill of the people over there. So now United States of America expects Indian troops to be onto the soil of Afghanistan. And second is, Defense Trade and Technology Initiative will also be reviewed. India is now considered as a major defense partner to United States of America, and its status is also expected to be reviewed now. So, next is Putin to send special representative. The gulf between India and Russia is increasing. Russia appears to be moving close to Pakistan, and they are also conducting the joint military exercises. So, in this context, to appease India, to tell India that the involving of the Taliban in the peace talks is very critical, a special envoy is being sent. Now, India wants to clearly say that there is no good terrorist and a bad terrorist, and Taliban cannot be invited for talks. And Afghanistan also has clearly stated any peace process have to be led by the Afghanistan through the involvement of the existing Afghanistan government. Now, let's come to the business page. Intervention rethinking needed to stir demand. As I said to you, the monetary policy options are very limited as inflation is rising in the country. So, the way forward is the fiscal policy. So, fiscal policy government is trying to bring in 50,000 crore rupees, compromising on the fiscal deficit. So, this article says to revive the economy, government has to spend more on capital expenditure. And second aspect is the banking non-performance assets have increased. The government has to recapitalize the banks. These are the two suggestions which this article is giving to improve the economic growth. India, South Korea to upgrade free trade talks. Now, once the free trade agreement has come between these two countries, the trade deficit has become unfavorable to India. India's traditional strength is in services sector, so India is looking to send its English teachers and also it is trying to promote the yoga in South Korea. Database soon of saving schemes linked with Aadhaar. So it means EPF, all these things, National Pension Scheme, these are also going to be seeded with Aadhaar, linked with Aadhaar. And then in the last page, I gave you the notes which will be available to you at lahex.in/civils prep. Thank you very much. All the best.